These are pricing mistakes and why why the errors keep happening, why the underpricing will just keep going on, why editors continue to undercharge no matter how much they tell themselves I'm going to do better next time. That's what this video is about. Hi, if today is your first time seeing my face, hello. My name is Chisamu Tibeaka, and on this channel, I talk everything about empowering you to do the work you love and love the work you do, and from the perspective of my work as an editor, proofreader, ghostwriter, and publisher. Welcome to the channel. Please subscribe. All right. Now, most of the time, I have done this work for 16 plus years now. We are actually going to be 16 years as a company next month in August of 2026. Yay! And before then, 10 years at least before that time, I had been editing and proofreading for free because I didn't know there was going to do, it's going to become business. Now, let me give you the tip. There's always that issue of underpricing when it comes to editors, proofreaders, ghostwriters, even who are resident in Africa. Now, I'm not saying anything is wrong with us. We were just not taught how to price. There's no template per se. There's no guideline to how the industry states that we should charge. Okay, which is why my professional rate has come to the rescue. If you don't know, I recently published my bestseller legacy book, Professional Rates: How Business Smart Editors Quote, Calculate, or rather calculate quotes and attract serious clients. You can get it in the description box right now, and you can start reading right now when you pay online. And there's also a hardcover copy you can book. Now, in that book, I explained in details with all the formulas and how to's. Everything is there. Anyway, back to why this keeps happening. I remember how I used to feel so distraught when somebody asked how much, and I give a fee I think was fair. And then when I get into the work and I discovered that I took more work than I thought there was. And then I go through the cycle of resentment, the cycle of feeling like, oh my God, what have I done this time? And then I try to finish up the work because I'm not one to go back to say, oh my God, you're going to pay me more money. I discovered this work is no longer proofreading. I had to do some copy editing. I felt it was professional. And by my temperament, I really don't, you know, so what I'm saying, I will soak on the scope of work that has increased and try to finish that work as best as I can. But then I make a mental note like, do better next time, Jason. Do better next time. And then if I did better the next time, I'm not sure I will be this. Anyway, it's all for good. But I never did better the next time, and I always used to wonder why. Why do I keep on the charge? Why do I keep making it look like what I do is flimsy, is easy? Why do I keep succumbing to all of those? Oh, give me this discount, give me this, even when I know the fee is not even able to buy groceries. Anyway, so this is what I discovered and I explored in my book. First, as an editor, I know you have niched yourself, you know what's your expert, you may know where your superpower is, whether it's ghostwriting, sorry, whether it is proofreading, whether it's copy editing, whether it's developmental editing. You have packaged yourself, you have used AI to, to quote, to prompt and, try to fine tune this thing that you do. But you find yourself back in this trap of always feeling inadequately paid after a job has been done. Like you feel you did a heavy lifting, but for peanuts. Let me help you fix it. The problem is not in the volume of work. I know you're charging by the volume of work. It's possible you're charging per word, right? And you have a base fee that you use to multiply across the number of words that the manuscript has, or you're charging per page where you're using 250 or 300 words to justify what a page is, and then you go ahead to charge, right? It's possible. So your volume is not the problem, right? Let me tell you where the problem is in the fact that you are not pricing for how complex the work is. Yeah. Now, there are also different ways people or editing in the industry look at complexity. I'm not of that school of thought, right? Call me a rebel, out of the boxer, whatever it is. But I look at complexity as volume decided by turnaround time. Not multiplied, not added, but decided by turnaround time. Let me explain that. So let's say someone gives you a 52,000 word manuscript. maybe it's non-fiction. So you have your base fee for either per word or per page. Even though I'm hardly a per word person, I advise you do per page, where you use either 250 words as your page or 300 words per page. In my own case, I use 300 words for non-fiction works, and I use 250 words for fiction, right? Anyway, so when you decide on this total fee based on your volume, it doesn't end there. How you know what to charge now is dependent on adding the surcharge, in that sense, that comes with the number of days or weeks that this work will require. Let me give you an example. 52,000 word complex non-fiction that maybe needs developmental editing will not cost the same as a job that possibly is copy editing or proofreading, and will not have the same number of days for delivery, the turnaround time. Turnaround time means, from when you started the work to when you deliver to your client, factoring in all the breaks you need to have, and also the break that you need to get back to the author to okay something, to approve something before you finish. All of that is included in your turnaround time. Yeah. So I needed to get that out of the way. Now, if you do that 52,000 word manuscript in, say, 21 days, but you end up discovering that you had to struggle to even be able to finish it up in those 21 days. It's possible you didn't do your final reading. It's possible that you're supposed to read for 3 times, but you finally ended up doing 2 times. That is you just changing yourself, right? Now, your work has to factor in volume, which is already settled, and factor in the fact that the realistic number of days you need to do this work, and apply the number of rounds of reading that it requires. For developmental editing, which from my company perspective, let me give an example. If I'm going to proofread a work, I want to read that work at least 3 times before I deliver it, to be sure that everything is okay. Factoring in some days I will not look at the work at all, so that my brain can see it better when I come back. Right now, if it's copy editing, that means I'm going to read that work. If the work needs copy editing, that means I'm going to do copy editing and proofreading, meaning that I'm going to do 3 levels of copy editing and 3 levels of proofreading, for instance, then in 21 days. That cannot be charged in the same way as a work that needs me to do 14 days and is developmental editing, and then I have to read 6 times instead of 9 times. You get what I mean? Now, this is where most of us get it mixed up. Usually, what you should have standard turnaround time based on your experience and how fast that you edit works of that nature normally. Factoring in time for breaks where you need your brain to refresh and reset and all that good stuff. If you don't pay attention to it and have a fixed number of days that a certain complexity of work and volume and level of editing demands, you will keep making the same other charging mistakes. Yes, it took me a while. It took me actually about 4 or 5 years before I was able to figure out how long it takes me, for instance, to read a work of 100 pages or 20 pages and all that, then begin to pay attention to how many times I need to read it over to get it done, and then factor in that I need to get back to the author and back, and then factor in also that I need to break, have 1 or 2 days away from the work and come back to continue in between the reading sessions for me to know the actual number of days that minimum it requires. And you know where this is tricky? When you are able to get a standard rate and based on your volume and the editing level of work that the work requires, and then your turnaround time, it will do something for you. Come closer. It will help you determine also when a client wants express. Yes, because if you, for instance, find out that any job that is between, um, let's say, between 100 to 150 words, based on 250 per page or 300 per page, but the editing page is 100 to 150 words. will usually take you 28 days, for instance, for you to do proper reading 6 times and all of that thing all those things I explained. And then a client said, oh my God, 28 days. Oh my God, I'm a bit in a hurry. I have my printers on standby. I have an event. I'm launching it on my 50th birthday and the days has been fixed, all those good stuff that they tell us, okay? Then, and the person wants it in 2 weeks, like 14 days, which is half of what it should functionally be as turnaround time. And then you consider it and say, okay, maybe I should get one or two other editors to join me to do this fast. We'll work night and day to be able to get our readings done and get it ready. That means you're going to incur more cost, more time, more brain fag, all of that. That will help you determine that it is express. And do you know how express is counted? You have to double the charge of whatever it is before you add your profits. All of these things I explained in my book, Professional Rates. I think you should go get it. It will help you a lot. Just click in the description and you can start reading right away online on the seller app. It's so easy, it's sweet, you love it. I broke down these things details. So you must be able to understand what number of days is too short or too tight to deliver a particular job, and then determine first that if this client is asking for half of the time, do I have the capacity, human resource wise, time, energy, to be able to really compress time to do this work? Can I get people on board and pay them also on this particular project? If that is yes, then you should be able to double the price of whatever it is. And you don't just double the price, you must also add your profit. There's a formula for it. So that is why you keep on the charging. Trust me, when I decided to do this, everything changed about my business. And this is something I created on my own when I was working like a solo freelancer until I built it. I built it into my company plan, and now it has become a standard that we use on local audibles. I think you should consider it. Just go to www.chisomotiveaka.com right now. You can pay and start reading right now and find out exactly how to calculate this complexity I'm telling you about, and thank me later. All right. If you have any questions and anything you do understand from what I said, go ahead, ask me in the comment section. And please make sure you subscribe on your way out and like this video so that YouTube can show you to more people and they don't make the same mistakes. All right. I hope this was helpful. Ciao.